Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maybe there is someone you still think about when the world becomes quiet. Someone who walked away but somehow never completely left your heart. And perhaps one question keeps returning. Do they still miss me? Listen carefully. You may never know what they feel, but Allah already knows. He knows the memories they hide, the words they never said, and the feelings they never confessed. But what if their silence is not the sign you think it is? What if Allah is teaching you something deeper through it? Stay with me until the end, because this message may change the way you see their silence, your heartbreak, and what Allah may be preparing for you. And if you feel this message is meant for your heart, stay with me and subscribe for more reminders that bring the heart back to Allah. Their silence doesn't mean their heart forgot you. Silence can make the heart think about things that may not even be true. When someone suddenly stops talking to you, your mind starts creating answers. Maybe they don't care anymore. Maybe they forgot me. Maybe they found someone else. Maybe I never meant that much to them. But stop for a moment. How do you know? You know they became quiet. You know they stopped reaching out. You know they walked away. But you do not know everything that happened inside their heart after they left. You cannot see their thoughts. You cannot see their private struggles. You cannot see the memories that come back when they are alone. You cannot see the moments when they may remember your words, your kindness, your smile, or even the simple things you used to do. A person can be quiet and still remember you. A person can look completely fine and still carry something in their heart. A person can miss you and still choose not to contact you. And sometimes, that is what makes silence so painful, because you only see the outside. But Allah sees what is inside. Allah knows the thoughts nobody hears. He knows the feelings nobody speaks about. He knows the regret someone hides. He knows the tears someone wipes away before anyone sees them. He knows every secret in every heart. So if that person misses you, Allah knows. If they regret losing you, Allah knows. If they sometimes remember you, Allah knows. And if they have truly moved on, Allah knows that too. You do not have to solve the mystery. You do not have to search for hidden signs. You do not have to spend your nights wondering what their silence means, because there is something more important than knowing what is happening in their heart. It is knowing what is happening in yours. Maybe you have spent too much time waiting for a message. Maybe you have checked your phone, hoping their name would appear. Maybe you have looked at their profile just to see if anything changed. Maybe you have replayed old conversations in your mind. Maybe you have asked yourself the same question again and again. Do they still care? But my dear brother, my dear sister, your heart was not made to live in this kind of waiting. Your heart was made to know Allah, and sometimes the moment you stop searching for answers in another person is the moment you begin finding peace in Allah. You may never know what they feel, and that is okay. You do not need to know everything that Allah has chosen to keep hidden. If they are meant to return, Allah can bring them back. If they are meant to remain in the past, Allah can give you the strength to move forward. And if there is something better waiting for you, Allah can lead you there in ways you cannot see today. So do not let someone's silence become the voice that controls your life. Do not turn their absence into a story that says you were not enough. You are not worthless because someone walked away. You are not forgotten because someone became distant. And you are not unloved because one person could not give you the love you hoped for. Allah knows your value. Allah knows your heart. Allah knows what you gave. Allah knows what you lost. And Allah knows what you need next. Perhaps their silence is not telling you that they forgot you. Perhaps it is teaching you that your peace cannot depend on whether another person remembers you. And maybe that is where your healing begins. Not when you finally discover whether they miss you, but when you reach the point where you can say, even if I never know, I trust Allah. That is real peace. That is when the heart stops chasing answers and starts trusting its creator. And sometimes, that trust is far more valuable than knowing what someone else feels. They may miss you, but still know they can't return. Here is something your heart may not want to hear. Someone can miss you and still stay away. Someone can remember you and still know that returning is not the right thing. Someone can care about you and still understand that the relationship cannot continue. We often think that missing someone should lead to one thing, coming back. But that is not always true. Sometimes a person misses your voice. They miss your presence. They miss the way you understood them. They miss the comfort they felt when you were around. They may even remember small things about you that you thought they had forgotten. But missing those things does not always mean they should return. And this is where the heart can become confused. Because when you miss someone, you naturally want them close again. You remember the good days. You remember the conversations. You remember the moments when everything felt easy. And your mind starts saying, maybe we should try again. Maybe this time it will be different. Maybe they have changed. But you have to ask yourself something deeper. Was the relationship actually good for you? Did it bring peace to your heart? Did it bring you closer to Allah? Did it make you a better person, or did it leave you constantly worried, waiting, and hurt? Because the heart has a strange habit. It remembers what felt good and slowly forgets what caused the pain. You remember their kindness. You forget the nights you cried. You remember their words. You forget how often their actions confused you. You remember the beginning. You forget why the ending happened. That is why missing someone is not always a sign that you should go back. Sometimes you are simply missing what you hoped the relationship could become. And that is different. You may not even be missing the person exactly as they were. You may be missing the version of them that existed in your dreams. The person you hoped they would become. The future you imagined together. The life you pictured in your mind. And when that future disappears, it can feel like you lost a whole life. But Allah knows the life you imagined. And Allah also knows the life you cannot see. This is why trusting Allah matters so much. You may see one person and think, this is the only person who can make me happy. Allah sees millions of possibilities you cannot see. You may think, if they leave, I will never find someone like them again. Allah knows whether someone better suited to your faith, your character, your future, and your peace is waiting somewhere ahead. You may think, I need this person. But Allah knows what you actually need. And there's a huge difference between what we want and what is good for us. Sometimes Allah allows someone to leave because keeping them would cost you more than losing them. You may not understand it immediately. You may cry. You may ask why Allah did not answer your dua the way you wanted. But later, you may look back and realize that the closed door was mercy. That person may have been good in some ways. They may have made you happy. They may have had qualities you admired. But that does not automatically mean they were meant to stay. Not everyone who touches your heart is meant to hold your hand through the entire journey. Some people come into your life for a season. Some teach you patience. Some teach you boundaries. Some teach you what love should look like. Some teach you what you should never accept again. And some teach you how to turn back to Allah when your heart has nowhere else to go. So if someone misses you today, let that be between them and Allah. You do not need to chase them. You do not need to send a message just because your heart feels weak. You do not need to create a reason to appear in their life again. If Allah wants that door to open, He can open it. And if it opens, let it open in the right way, with honesty, with clear intentions, with respect, with responsibility, and most importantly, in a way that brings you closer to what Allah loves. Do not accept a little attention just because you are starving for affection. Do not mistake a late-night message for commitment. Do not mistake I miss you for I am ready to build something real. Those are not the same thing. Someone can miss your presence and still not be ready to give you a healthy relationship. Someone can regret losing you and still not have changed. Someone can come back because they feel lonely, not because they are ready to take responsibility. So if they ever return, do not only listen to their words. Look at what has changed. Look at their actions. Look at their character. Look at their relationship with Allah. Look at whether they bring peace or confusion. Look at whether they have clear intentions or only emotional words, because you deserve more than someone who appears whenever they miss you and disappears whenever things become difficult. You deserve clarity. You deserve respect. You deserve something that does not leave you constantly asking, "Where do I stand?" And remember this, you can miss someone without needing them back. You can love someone and still let them go. You can remember the good without returning to the pain. You can make dua for someone without making them the center of your life. That is strength. And perhaps this is what Allah is teaching you right now. You do not have to fight every feeling you have. You simply have to place those feelings in the right hands. Take your longing to Allah. Take your confusion to Allah. Take your loneliness to Allah. Take your hopes to Allah. And then say, "Ya Allah, I want this person, but I want your choice more. If they are good for my faith, my life, my future, and my akhirah, bring us together in a way that pleases you. And if they are not good for me, take this attachment from my heart and give me something better." That is a powerful dua, because you are no longer saying, "Allah, give me this person no matter what." You are saying, "Allah, give me what is best, even if it is different from what I want." That is tawakkul. And tawakkul does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to control the outcome. You make dua. You do what is right. You keep your dignity. And then you leave the result with Allah. Maybe they miss you. Maybe they think about you. Maybe they wish they had done things differently. But you do not need to run after that knowledge, because the person who is truly written for you will not require you to destroy your peace just to keep them. And if Allah has closed that door, do not keep breaking your heart trying to open it. There may be another door ahead, a better door, a peaceful door, a door that leads to a relationship where you do not have to question whether you are wanted, a door where love is not just spoken but shown, a door where marriage is approached with seriousness, a door where both hearts are trying to please Allah. You cannot see that door yet, but Allah can, so let the past remain in Allah's hands. If they miss you, Allah knows. If they return, Allah will make the path clear. If they do not return, Allah can heal the part of you that still waits. And if Allah has something better written for you, no person from your past can take it away. Do not let missing someone convince you that they are your destiny. Missing is a feeling. Destiny is with Allah. And sometimes the person your heart keeps asking for is not the person your future needs. That may hurt to accept, but one day, it may also be the truth that saves you. Because when you trust Allah, you stop asking, "How can I get them back?" And you begin asking, "What is Allah trying to bring me toward?" That question changes everything, and perhaps the person you are trying so hard to understand was never meant to be the answer. Perhaps they were only part of the lesson. And perhaps Allah is preparing your heart for something you would never have chosen, because you were too busy holding on to what you already lost. So let go gently, not with anger, not with hatred, not with revenge, just with trust. If they are meant for you, Allah knows how to bring them back. And if they are not, Allah knows how to replace the space they left behind. You do not have to force either one. You only have to trust the one who knows the whole story, because you see one chapter. Allah sees the entire book. Allah knows what they feel, but will never tell you. There is something your heart may be waiting for that another person may never give you. An explanation, an apology, a message, a simple sentence saying, "I still think about you." Maybe you have imagined that moment many times. You imagine your phone lighting up. You imagine seeing their name. You imagine them finally saying the words you have been waiting to hear. "I miss you. I regret what happened. I should have treated you better. I never really forgot you." And perhaps those words would feel good for a moment. But ask yourself honestly, would they really heal everything? Or would they simply make you want more? Because sometimes the heart believes that one conversation will finally bring peace, but then the conversation happens, And instead of peace, another door opens. Now you are wondering what they meant. Now you are waiting for another message. Now you are hoping they will come back. Now you are thinking about them even more. You wanted closure, but you received another reason to wait. This is why sometimes Allah allows you to remain without the answer you wanted. Not because Allah does not care about your pain, but because Allah knows what your heart needs better than you do. You want to know what they feel. Allah already knows. You want to know whether they regret losing you. Allah already knows. You want to know whether they think about you when they are alone. Allah already knows. You want to know whether they ever make dua for you. Allah already knows. You are searching for information that Allah never asked you to carry, and maybe that is why you feel so tired. You are trying to enter a place that only Allah can see, the heart of another person. You cannot control it. You cannot read it. You cannot force it to speak, and you cannot build your peace around it. But Allah knows every hidden thing. He knows the thought that comes into someone's mind before they ever speak. He knows the regret that stays behind a smile. He knows the tears someone hides. He knows the memories they never share. He knows what they tell other people, and He knows what they tell themselves when nobody is around. So imagine how freeing it is to say, Ya Allah, I do not know what is in their heart, but you do. That one sentence can change the way you carry this entire situation. Because now you do not need to keep checking. You do not need to keep guessing. You do not need to keep asking people about them. You do not need to search their social media for clues. You do not need to turn every small thing into a sign. You can simply leave the unseen with the one who owns it. And there is another truth you need to hear. Their feelings are not your responsibility. If they miss you, that is between them and Allah. If they regret something, that is between them and Allah. If they wish they had treated you differently, that is between them and Allah. You do not have to carry their emotions for them. You have enough to carry already. You have your own heart, your own faith, your own responsibilities, your own future, your own relationship with Allah. Do not spend all your energy trying to understand someone who is not giving you clarity. Sometimes we become so focused on someone else's heart that we forget the condition of our own. You ask, what do they feel about me? But have you asked, what is this attachment doing to me? You ask, do they still want me? But have you asked, am I becoming closer to Allah or further away because of this? You ask, will they come back? But have you asked, am I willing to accept Allah's decision if they do not? These questions are much more important, because your real test may not be whether that person returns. Your real test may be whether you can trust Allah, even if they never do. That is where faith becomes real. Anyone can say, I trust Allah, when everything goes according to plan. But when you deeply want something, and Allah does not give it to you in the way you expected, can you still say, Ya Allah, I trust you? That is powerful. That is surrender. That is tawakkul. Maybe you prayed for that person. Maybe you cried for that person. Maybe you asked Allah again and again to bring them closer. And maybe the answer was not what you expected. Do not immediately call that rejection. Sometimes Allah answers a dua by changing the situation. Sometimes He answers by delaying it. Sometimes He answers by removing what you asked for. And sometimes He answers by changing you. You asked for them. Allah gave you patience. You asked for their return. Allah gave you strength. You asked for a relationship. Allah gave you a deeper relationship with Him. You asked for an explanation. Allah gave you the ability to live without one. You may not have recognized those answers because you were looking for one specific thing, but Allah's mercy does not always arrive in the shape we expect. And this is why you should be careful when someone from your past suddenly appears again. Do not assume that their return means Allah wants you together. Do not assume that one message means destiny has changed. Do not assume that I miss you means I am ready to build a life with you. Words can be emotional. Actions reveal intention. If someone returns, look at what they are actually bringing with them. Are they bringing clarity? Are they bringing respect? Are they bringing serious intentions? Are they willing to do things in a halal way? Are they willing to take responsibility for what happened before? Have they actually changed? Or are they simply lonely? There is a difference. Someone can miss the comfort you gave them without being ready to become the person you needed. Someone can miss your attention without being ready to give you commitment. Someone can miss the past without being ready for the future. So do not let one emotional moment pull you back into a situation Allah may have already helped you escape. If Allah wants that person in your future, you will not need to destroy yourself to make it happen. You will not need to beg. You will not need to chase. You will not need to lose your dignity. You will not need to live in constant confusion. Allah can open the door clearly, and if He does not open it, there is wisdom in that too. Maybe you will understand it soon. Maybe you will understand it much later. And maybe one day you will look back and thank Allah for not giving you what you once thought you could not live without. Because there are things we ask for when we know only the beginning. Allah knows the ending. You saw the person. Allah saw the future. You saw the smile. Allah saw the struggle. You saw the good moments. Allah saw everything. You saw what you wanted. Allah saw what would happen if you received it. That is why you can trust Him. Not because you understand everything, but because He does. So tonight, if your heart is still asking, do they miss me? Take that question to Allah. Do not take it to their social media. Do not take it to mutual friends. Do not take it to endless guessing. Take it to Allah. Say, Ya Allah, you know what they feel. You know what I feel. You know what happened between us. If there is goodness in this person for me, make the path clear, and if there is no goodness in it, give my heart peace with your decision. Then stop searching. Let Allah handle what you cannot see. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what was never yours to carry. And slowly, something beautiful begins to happen. You stop needing their confession. You stop needing their apology. You stop needing their return. You stop needing proof that you mattered. Because you realize something. Allah saw you when they did not understand you. Allah heard you when they did not listen. Allah stayed with you when they walked away. Allah knew your heart when they misunderstood it. And Allah never needed another person's approval to know your worth. So perhaps the answer you have been waiting for is not, yes, they still miss you. Perhaps the answer you need is, you can stop worrying about whether they do, because whether they remember you or forget you does not change what Allah has written. Whether they return or remain away does not change your value. Whether they regret it or never speak about it does not decide your future. Allah decides, and when you truly trust Him, you no longer need to know everything. You can leave some questions unanswered. You can leave some people in the past. You can leave some doors closed and still sleep peacefully at night. Because your heart finally understands what Allah knows is enough. What Allah writes is enough. What Allah chooses is enough. And what Allah removes is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes it is preparation. And sometimes it is the answer to a dua you were not wise enough to ask for. So if they miss you, let them miss you. If they remember you, let them remember you. If they regret losing you, let them face that regret. You do not need to run back. You do not need to investigate. You do not need to force the story to continue. If Allah wants your paths to meet again, He knows exactly how to make that happen. Until then, keep walking. Keep praying. Keep your heart soft. Keep your dignity. And most importantly, keep your relationship with Allah stronger than your attachment to any human being. Because people can hide their feelings from you. They can hide their thoughts. They can hide their regrets. They can hide their tears. But nothing is hidden from Allah, and when you place your heart in the care of the one who knows everything, you finally stop being afraid of what you do not know. You begin to understand that sometimes peace does not come from getting the answer. Sometimes peace comes from trusting Allah without it. Maybe their absence was Allah's protection, not your punishment. Sometimes the hardest thing to accept is that the person you wanted may have been the person Allah was protecting you from. You may not see it that way right now. Right now, you may only see the empty space they left behind. You remember their voice. You remember the good days. You remember the plans you made. You remember how safe or happy you felt when things were good. And because you remember all of that, you may be asking Allah, why did you let them leave? Why did you not keep us together? Why did my dua not bring them back? But there is another question you need to ask. What if Allah knew something I did not? What if you were looking at the person while Allah was looking at the future? You saw what they were like in the moments you knew. Allah knew what could happen later. You saw their kindness. Allah saw their weaknesses too. You saw the beautiful memories. Allah saw the whole story. You saw the beginning. Allah saw the ending. And that is why sometimes Allah closes a door that you were begging Him to keep open, not because He wanted to hurt you, but because He knew what was behind that door. Think about how little we actually know about our future. Today you may believe that someone is perfect for you. You may think, if I could just have this person, everything would finally be right. But you do not know what life with that person would really look like. You do not know what would happen after marriage. You do not know how they would behave when life became difficult. You do not know how they would treat you when the excitement disappeared. You do not know whether they would help you become closer to Allah or slowly pull you away. You only know what you can see today. Allah knows tomorrow. Allah knows next year. Allah knows the years after that. And Allah knows the effect a person can have on your faith, your peace, your character, and your future. So when Allah removes someone, do not rush to call it a punishment. Maybe it is protection. Maybe Allah saw the tears you would have cried later. Maybe He saw the pain you would have carried years from now. Maybe He knew that the relationship you wanted would slowly become a place of anxiety instead of peace. Maybe He knew that you would lose parts of yourself trying to keep someone who was never meant to stay. You may never know, and you may not need to know. Because faith is not only trusting Allah when His plan makes sense. Faith is trusting Allah when His plan hurts. That is where your heart is truly tested. Anyone can say, Allah knows best, when life is going exactly the way they want. But can you say it when the person you prayed for is gone? Can you say it when the message never comes? Can you say it when the door stays closed? Can you say it when you still miss them? Can you say, Ya Allah, I do not understand this, but I trust you? That is a different level of surrender. And perhaps this is the place Allah wants to bring you. Because sometimes we think our dua failed because we did not receive the person. But what if the protection was the answer? You asked Allah to give you happiness. Maybe He removed what would have taken your happiness away. You asked Allah for peace. Maybe He separated you from what was disturbing your heart. You asked Allah for a good spouse. Maybe He removed someone who was not ready to be that spouse. You asked Allah for a beautiful future. Maybe He closed one door because it was leading somewhere you could not see. The answer may have been there all along. You just did not recognize it because your heart was attached to one particular outcome. And attachment can make us blind. When we desperately want someone, we stop seeing the things that should concern us. We make excuses. We ignore warning signs. We accept less than we deserve. We tell ourselves, they will change. It will get better. Maybe I can fix this. Maybe if I love them enough, everything will work. But you are not responsible for changing another person's heart. You cannot love someone into becoming righteous. You cannot sacrifice enough to make someone respect you. You cannot give enough attention to create commitment in someone who does not want it. And you cannot force something to become good simply because you want it badly. Sometimes the most loving thing Allah does for you is remove you from something before you lose yourself inside it. Maybe you were asking, why did they leave me? But perhaps the better question is, what did Allah save me from by allowing them to leave? That question may change the way you remember the past. Instead of saying, I lost them, you may eventually say, Allah protected me. Instead of saying, my dua was ignored, You may say, Allah answered me in a way I could not understand. Instead of saying, they were taken from me. You may say, Allah took what was not good for me before I became even more attached. And maybe one day you will thank Allah for a door you once begged Him to reopen. There are things you cry over today that you may thank Allah for tomorrow. There are people you think you cannot live without until Allah teaches you that you can. There are endings that feel like destruction until time reveals that they were actually rescue. But do not misunderstand this. It does not mean your pain was fake. Your love may have been real. Your memories may have been real. Your tears may have been real. Your hopes may have been real. You are allowed to miss someone. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to feel disappointed. You are allowed to wonder why things happened. Islam does not ask you to pretend that your heart does not hurt. But Islam teaches you where to take that pain. Take it to Allah. Cry to Allah. Make dua to Allah. Tell Him exactly what you feel. Tell Him, Ya Allah, I still miss them. Tell Him, Ya Allah, part of me still wants them. Tell Him, Ya Allah, I do not understand why this happened. You do not have to hide your feelings from Allah. But after you tell Him, surrender them. Say, Ya Allah, I trust your choice more than my own. That is where healing begins. Not when you suddenly stop caring. Not when every memory disappears. But when you can remember someone without fighting Allah's decision. You can say, I loved them, but Allah knows better. I wanted them, but Allah knows better. I imagined a future with them, but Allah knows better. That is a peaceful heart. And perhaps you need to hear this too. Do not turn someone's absence into proof that you were not enough. Their leaving does not automatically mean you were not beautiful enough. It does not mean you were not kind enough. It does not mean you were not worthy of love. Sometimes two good people are simply not good for each other. Sometimes one person is not ready. Sometimes the timing is wrong. Sometimes the relationship itself is wrong. And sometimes Allah simply has a different plan. Your worth is not decided by who stayed. Your worth is not decided by who left. Your worth is not decided by whether someone chose you. Allah created you. Allah knows you. Allah knows your intentions. Allah knows your heart. And Allah knows what kind of person is truly good for your future. So do not spend the rest of your life trying to prove to someone that they made a mistake by leaving. You do not need revenge. You do not need them to regret it. You do not need them to watch you become successful. You do not need them to see that you are happy without them. Let that go. Your healing is not a performance for the person who left. Your healing is between you and Allah. Become stronger for Allah. Become wiser for Allah. Protect your heart for Allah. Build your future for Allah. And let the people who were not meant to stay remain where Allah placed them. Because sometimes you keep asking Allah to return someone when Allah is asking you to move forward. You keep looking behind you while Allah is opening your eyes to what is ahead. You keep mourning one closed door while another one is quietly waiting. And maybe you cannot see it yet. That is okay. You do not need to see the whole road. You only need enough faith to take the next step. If Allah removed someone, trust Him. If Allah delayed something, trust Him. If Allah closed a door, trust Him. If Allah is asking you to wait, trust Him. And if one day that person comes back, do not immediately assume that this means the old story must continue. Let Allah show you through their actions. Let time reveal their character. Let their intentions become clear. If they are truly meant to return, they will not need to bring the same problems that caused the separation. And if Allah does not bring them back, do not believe your life is over. It is not. Your story is still being written. You may be standing in the chapter where everything feels empty, but Allah knows the chapters you have not reached yet. There may be a person you have never met who will one day thank Allah that your paths crossed. There may be a marriage you cannot imagine yet. There may be a peaceful home you have not seen. There may be a version of yourself you have not become. And perhaps you would never reach that chapter if you kept holding on to the old one. So release it slowly. Release the need to understand everything. Release the need to know whether they miss you. Release the need to make them regret losing you. Release the dream that things must happen exactly as you imagined, and hold on to Allah. Because when you hold on to Allah, losing people becomes different. You still feel the pain, but the pain no longer convinces you that your life is finished. You still remember, but the memories no longer control you. You still care, but you no longer chase. You still make dua, but you leave the result with Allah. And maybe that is the greatest lesson in all of this. Sometimes Allah's no is not the end of your happiness. Sometimes it is the beginning of your protection. Sometimes the person you wanted was only meant to teach you what your heart should never settle for again. Sometimes the separation was not Allah pushing you away from love. It was Allah pulling you away from the wrong kind of love. And perhaps one day, when your heart is finally calm, you will look back and say, Ya Allah, now I understand why you did not give me what I wanted. You may not understand today, but keep trusting, because Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what you cannot know, and He can protect you from a future you would have chosen with your whole heart. So if someone is no longer in your life, do not immediately ask, why did Allah take them? Ask, Ya Allah, what are you making room for? Maybe the answer is healing. Maybe it is stronger faith. Maybe it is a better future. Maybe it is a better person. Maybe it is simply a better version of you. Whatever it is, trust that Allah is not careless with your heart. The door closed for a reason. And even if you do not know that reason today, you can still trust the one who does. Maybe their absence was not your punishment. Maybe it was Allah's mercy arriving in a form you did not recognize. Stop waiting for them. Start trusting what Allah has written. There comes a moment when you have to stop asking the same question. Will they come back? Not because you stopped caring. Not because the memories suddenly disappeared. Not because your heart became cold. But because you finally understood something much bigger. Your future cannot depend on another person's decision. You can love someone. You can miss someone. You can still remember them. But you cannot build your life around the hope that they will return, because while you are waiting for someone to come back, life is still moving forward. Days are passing. Your heart is changing. Your relationship with Allah is waiting for your attention, and there may be blessings ahead that you cannot even see because your eyes are still fixed on what is behind you. Maybe you are waiting for their message. Maybe you are waiting for an apology. Maybe you are waiting for them to realize your worth. Maybe you are waiting for them to finally understand what they lost. But what if Allah is asking you to stop waiting? What if the next chapter of your life cannot begin because you are still standing at the door of the previous one? Sometimes the heart keeps saying, just give it a little more time. Maybe they will come back. Maybe they will change. Maybe tomorrow they will contact me. And tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop living your own life. You are physically moving forward, but emotionally, you are still standing in the same place. You are waiting for a person who may not even know you are waiting, and this is where you need to give your heart back to Allah. Not every unanswered question needs an answer. Not every unfinished conversation needs another conversation. Not every relationship needs another chance. And not every person you miss belongs in your future. You have to trust that Allah knows the difference. You only see what you want. Allah sees what is good for you. You see the person you miss. Allah sees the life that could come with that person. You see the happiness you remember. Allah sees the pain you may have forgotten. You see the good moments. Allah sees the entire story. And because Allah knows the entire story, His choice deserves more trust than your feelings. This does not mean you should stop making dua. Make dua. Ask Allah for what you want. Tell Him what is in your heart. Ask Him to bring the person back if they are good for you. Ask Him to make the path easy if they are written for you. But after making dua, let Allah decide. Do not keep trying to control the answer. There is a difference between saying, Ya Allah, I want this person, and saying, Ya Allah, if this person is good for me, bring them to me. If they are not, take them away from my heart and give me something better. The second prayer has peace inside it, because you are telling Allah, I have a desire, but I trust your wisdom more than my desire. That is tawakkul. And tawakkul does not mean you stop hoping. It means your hope is no longer attached to one specific outcome. You hope for what Allah knows is best. Maybe Allah brings them back. Maybe He does not. Maybe the person you are waiting for becomes your spouse. Maybe Allah introduces you to someone you never expected. Maybe the person you lost was not meant to be your destination at all. Maybe they were only part of the journey that brought you closer to Allah. You cannot know yet, but Allah knows. And that should calm you, because your future is in better hands than yours. Think about how many times you thought something was perfect for you, only to discover later that it was not. Think about the things you once desperately wanted, that you are now grateful you did not receive. Think about the people you once believed you could never live without. You lived, you healed, you grew, you became someone stronger. And perhaps you will one day look at this person the same way, not with hatred, not with bitterness, but with peace. You will say, I once thought I needed them, now I understand that I needed Allah. That is a beautiful place to reach, because there is nothing wrong with loving someone. The danger begins when you love them so much that you become willing to lose yourself for them. You stop praying properly because you are thinking about them. You stop sleeping because you are waiting for them. You stop enjoying your life because you are hoping they will return. You stop seeing the blessings Allah has already given you because you are focused on one blessing you believe He took away. Do not let one person become bigger in your heart than the one who created your heart. That is the balance you need. Love people. Care about people. Make dua for people. But keep Allah above all of them, because people are temporary. Allah is not. People can change. Allah does not. People can leave. Allah never abandons the one who turns to Him. And when you understand that, you become less afraid of endings. You stop thinking, what will I do if they never come back? Instead, you begin thinking, whatever Allah chooses, I will learn how to live with it. That is strength. And perhaps you need to hear this clearly. If someone is truly meant for you, you do not need to destroy your dignity to keep them. You do not need to beg. You do not need to chase. You do not need to keep sending messages. You do not need to convince them that you are worthy. You do not need to become someone else to make them stay. If Allah has written a halal future between you, Allah can create a path that brings clarity instead of endless confusion. And if the person returns, do not only ask, do they miss me? Ask, have they changed? Ask, are their intentions clear? Ask, are they ready for something serious? Ask, will this bring me closer to Allah? Because someone returning is not automatically a blessing. Sometimes people return because they are lonely. Sometimes they return because they miss the attention. Sometimes they return because they are comfortable with what they already know. And sometimes they return because they genuinely changed. You need wisdom to know the difference. Do not let nostalgia make your decisions. Nostalgia remembers the warm moments and forgets the cold ones. It remembers the laughter and forgets the tears. It remembers how you felt at the beginning and forgets why things ended. So if they ever return, look at the whole picture, not only what your heart wants to hear. Look at their actions. Look at their character. Look at their consistency. Look at their relationship with Allah. Look at how they treat you when things become difficult. Because real change is not proved by one emotional message. It is proved over time, and if they never return, you still have a future. Please remember that. Their absence is not the end of your story. Their decision is not the final decision about your life. Their rejection does not mean Allah has rejected you. Their silence does not mean Allah is silent with you. Maybe Allah is preparing something you cannot see. Maybe He is preparing your heart. Maybe He is preparing your character. Maybe He is protecting your future. Maybe He is preparing you for a spouse who will meet you at the right time. Maybe He is simply teaching you that your heart can survive what once felt impossible. You do not know, but Allah knows. So stop living as though your happiness is waiting for one person's return. Your happiness can begin today. You can pray today. You can heal today. You can smile today. You can rebuild today. You can become closer to Allah today. You do not have to wait for someone else to give you permission to live again. And perhaps this is what Allah wants from you now. Move forward without knowing exactly what comes next. Trust without having every answer. Make dua without demanding the result. Leave the past without hating it. And walk toward the future without being afraid of it. Because Allah has already written your life with wisdom. You may not understand every page. You may not like every chapter, but you can trust the author. And sometimes the most beautiful things happen after you finally stop trying to rewrite what Allah has already closed. Maybe you wanted that person. Maybe you prayed for them. Maybe you imagined marriage with them. Maybe you thought they were the only one. But Allah is not limited by your imagination. He can give you what you asked for. He can give you something different. He can give you something better. And He can give you something that makes you understand why the old door had to close. So do not keep asking, why didn't Allah give me them? Ask, Ya Allah, what are you giving me instead? That question carries hope, because Allah never needs one person to bless you. He does not need one relationship to make your life meaningful. He does not need one human being to complete your story. Your life has purpose beyond romance. Your worship has purpose. Your growth has purpose. Your character has purpose. Your journey with Allah has purpose. And perhaps the person you cannot stop thinking about is not the person you are supposed to get back. Perhaps they are the person you are supposed to release, not because they were worthless, but because you are learning that something can be meaningful and still not be meant to last. That is a difficult lesson, but it is a beautiful one. You can say, thank you, Allah, for what that person taught me. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the strength I gained. And Ya Allah, I leave the rest with you. That is how you close a chapter without carrying hatred into the next one. And if your heart still whispers, but what if they come back? You can answer it gently. If Allah wants them back, He knows where I am. You do not need to chase. If Allah has written them for me, He will make the path clear. You do not need to force, and if Allah has not written them for me, I trust that His plan is better than mine. You do not need to fear. That is the freedom you have been looking for. Not knowing what they feel, not knowing what they are doing, not knowing whether they remember you, but knowing that Allah knows and knowing that Allah is enough. So if they still miss you, let them. If they still remember you, let them. If they regret losing you, let them. If they never come back, let Allah handle that too. You have a life to live. You have prayers to pray. You have a heart to heal. You have a relationship with Allah to strengthen. You have a future that deserves your attention. Do not spend your whole life standing beside a closed door because you are afraid there will never be another one. Allah can open doors you never knew existed. He can introduce you to people you never expected. He can change your circumstances in ways you could never plan. And He can turn a painful ending into one of the greatest turning points of your life. So tonight, make one final dua. Not a dua that says, Ya Allah, please give me this person no matter what. Make a dua that says, Ya Allah, I give this matter to you. You know what I cannot know. You see what I cannot see. If this person is good for me, bring us together in a way that pleases you. If they are not, remove them from my heart with mercy. Heal what still hurts. Forgive me for the times I became too attached. And give me the strength to trust your plan, even when I cannot understand it. Then breathe. Let your heart rest. You do not have to know what tomorrow will bring. You only have to trust the one who already knows. Maybe they will return, maybe they will not. But either way, Allah has not forgotten you. And your story is not waiting for another person to begin. Your story is already happening. So stop waiting for them. Start trusting Allah. Stop chasing what is uncertain. Start walking toward what is written. Stop asking whether they will choose you. Start remembering that Allah's choice for you is better than anything you could force for yourself. And one day, perhaps you will look back at this season and realize the person you thought you were waiting for was not the one you needed to find. The person you needed to find was the version of yourself that finally learned to trust Allah. And maybe that is what this whole chapter was really about. Not them, not their silence, not whether they miss you, but you, your heart, your faith, your surrender, your return to Allah. Because when you finally place the whole matter in Allah's hands, you stop living in fear of losing what was never yours, and you start becoming grateful for whatever Allah chooses to keep. That is when waiting turns into trust. That is when pain turns into patience. That is when attachment turns into surrender. And that is when the heart finally becomes free. Outro. So if there is still someone on your mind tonight, someone whose silence you cannot understand, do not let that silence become a reason to lose your peace. Maybe they miss you. Maybe they remember you. Maybe they regret what happened. Maybe they have already moved on. You may never know, and perhaps you do not need to, because Allah knows. Allah knows what they feel. Allah knows what you feel. Allah knows why the paths separated. And Allah knows whether those paths will ever meet again. So leave the question with Him. Do not chase what Allah has not opened. Do not beg for what Allah has chosen to delay. Do not hold on to someone simply because you are afraid of letting go. If they are written for you, Allah knows how to bring them back. And if they are not, trust that Allah knows how to heal the space they left behind. Maybe what you called heartbreak was actually protection. Maybe what you called rejection was actually redirection. Maybe what you called the end was actually the beginning of something Allah had planned for you all along. So tonight, put your hand on your heart and remind yourself, I do not need to know what they feel. I only need to trust what Allah knows. Let them be silent. Let the past remain where it belongs, and let Allah write the next chapter. Keep making dua. Keep your heart soft. Keep your faith strong, and keep walking. Because the person who left may have taken a chapter from your life, but they did not take your future. They did not take your purpose. They did not take your worth. And they certainly did not take Allah away from you. Maybe they still miss you, but your greatest victory will be the day you no longer need to know, the day you can remember them without waiting for them, the day you can love what was without begging for it to return, the day you can close your eyes, raise your hands, and say, Ya Allah, I trust you with what I cannot understand, and then sleep peacefully, because what is written for you will find you. What is not written for you cannot become yours through desperation, and what Allah chooses for you will always carry a wisdom your heart may only understand later. So let go, trust Allah, and keep moving forward. Your story is not over. Perhaps Allah is simply preparing you for the chapter you have been praying for, without even knowing its name.